everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my university story. Some of you may know little snippets of this already, some of you won't have heard anything about this, and I just want to share it with you today because this is the time of year where people are going back to uni, where people are starting uni, and I just want you all to know a bit about my background. A lot of you will be starting uni this time for the first time, some of you will be going back for your second year or third year, some of you will be thinking that you should have gone and you didn't, or that you wish you had have gone. Some of you will be watching this that are thinking about going to university in the future, so hopefully this will help some of you, or some of you can relate to it and you might just find it interesting. So I've made some notes that I'm going to be referring to, and I'm just going to talk to you like I'm talking to one of my friends because I don't want this to be too structured. So I left sixth form in 2009 and I left with 2 AS levels and 1 A level. My AS subjects were travel and tourism and history, and my A level was English language. So I got the UCAS points that I needed to go to university. I had been and looked around loads and loads of different universities with my mum and also Tom, who was then my boyfriend, and I wanted to do journalism. Every university that I went to look at, each course that I went to see or find more information about, is always journalism or English, and that was what I wanted to do until about 2 weeks before the application process was due in, and for some reason I decided I wanted to change my mind and do psychology and criminology. Now obviously this was like 6 years ago now, so I can't really remember why the Amy then thought that that was a good idea or what made me want to do that. I know a couple of my friends were going to do that, but I can't imagine me changing my mind because they were doing it. And it was always a thing. You go to school, sixth form, then college, and that was kind of the thing that I was brought up on. Most of the people in my family expected me to do that because I loved school, I did well in my GCSEs, and I think they presumed that I was the same person in college, even though I really didn't like college. It got closer and closer. I was thinking more and more to myself, this isn't what I want to do. I do not want to be going to university. And don't get me wrong, I was really excited about buying all of the cups and plates and bedding and things that you need when you go into university, and I was so excited about all of that that part of it. But as far as actually going to university, there was just a part of me that just felt like I just did not want to go. I wasn't 100% on the course that I was doing, and I was moving away. I moved to Liverpool. Everyone expected me to go to uni, and when I turned around and said I don't actually think I want to go, I don't want to go, because there wasn't anything else that I wanted to do instead. It wasn't I don't want to go because I'd rather do this. It was just I don't want to go. I don't think people took me very seriously and they thought it was just nerves, and probably a part of me felt like that as well, that it was just nerves and that actually I've come this far and this is what I need to go and do. So I went to Liverpool Hope, which is in Liverpool obviously, and in first year I stayed in halls. I kind of kept myself to myself. There just wasn't ever an occasion where I just made friends that I saw often, really. It just didn't happen, and I think as well because I wasn't really into the whole nightlife thing. I remember in Freshers Week going out on one of the first nights, and they were providing transport from the university, and it was a double-decker bus, and me and this other girl that was my flatmate, we got on this bus and we went to the top, and because there was no seats, and it was absolutely jam-packed full. People were like crammed on, and obviously I'm going to sound like such a bore here, but there were no seat belts and people were just stood up on this bus, and it was absolutely crazy. And I remember sitting on this bus, and it's probably about 20 minutes into the town centre, thinking, this is horrible. Why am I doing this? This is horrible. And I was so scared. I was scared that because they were like banging the sides of the bus, and the bus was shaking, and it was so loud, and I just felt like I couldn't breathe, and I felt like something bad was going to happen. I was just so nervous and scared, and I just couldn't wait to get off the bus. It was horrible. And then we had a good night that night, but I think that was probably the first and maybe one of the last nights that I went out in Liverpool. Like during the day, if I had frees at uni, I'd most often go into the city centre, but normally on my own, and go shopping, or at the weekends Tom would come up or I would go home. I just really didn't get involved in the social life. There just was never an opportunity where I met loads of people who I stayed friends with. I obviously made people that were friends on my course. I loved being in Liverpool. There were so many shops and the people were absolutely lovely. I really liked my tutorials, which were based on criminology, but I really didn't like my psychology lectures. I just couldn't get to grips with psychology whatsoever. I'd never done it before and I just really didn't like it, and it soon set in that I'd chosen the wrong course. And I think that because I knew that deep down, and because I wasn't passionate about the subject that I was doing, it was hard for me to really want to be there and want to do well. I got quite good results, but my heart was never in it. I felt very lonely. As I said, I didn't have many friends, and I felt a bit like a fish out of water. I felt like I was in a situation, living an experience that just wasn't for me, and that it was like society and family and friends were all saying to me, you go to university, that's what you do. But it just didn't suit me, and things aren't for everybody, and I don't think university was for me. When it got to third year, we had to choose our dissertation topic, and we got put in different modules, and the person who was running the module that I had been put into for my dissertation subject was known to be the worst teacher in the whole of the university, and about 10 people, when they realised that he was there, the tutor, had moved to a different subject to avoid him tutoring us. And I was the 11th one, and there was no room for me to change. So it was kind of a case of you're too late, 10 people have come before you and they've changed. There's no more room. And it was just horrible because I didn't want to be in that lesson. He was an awful teacher. I didn't like my dissertation subject, and I just wasn't enjoying it. And at this point in second year, Thomas and I had moved in together. We came to realise that actually I didn't have anyone to move into for second year with. He decided that he was going to move to Liverpool and that we'd move in together. So in third year, that's when we moved to Chester. It's all very confusing, but we moved to Chester when we were in third year, and we rented out our house in Liverpool. And we moved to Chester because that's where Tom's work company was based, and we were also getting broken into quite a lot in Liverpool, so we didn't like it. And Evie was a puppy by this time, so we moved to Chester, moved to a quaint little village, but that was about 45-minute commute from Chester to uni for me. And because I didn't want to be there anyway, the thought of having to drive for 45 minutes to an hour with traffic to get to somewhere you don't want to go every day of the week was just not appealing to me, and I didn't make it to hardly any of my lectures. I just worked instead. I just worked in the little local shop in our village, and I would rather have been anywhere else apart from uni. I did all my work on time that was due in, but then it got to the end of October, November, and I decided it wasn't for me. I'd been there for too long and tried too hard. I wasn't enjoying the subject. It's really hard for me to talk about this in a way that people will understand and me not just waffle on, because obviously I lived through it and I'm so passionate about it. It's hard, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It just wasn't for me, and I didn't fit in. And coming to the realisation that it was another thing that I had come to in my life, that my confidence and the way that I am as a person had stopped me from really getting to grips with the university life. And it was a case of everybody else has gone that I know from college and school. Why can't I be here and enjoy what I'm doing, and why aren't I having the same time that everybody else is having? And I just think it was something that wasn't really for me, and it was really hard kind of acknowledging actually it's not where I want to be. And although I've done 2 years and I'm starting my third, I didn't want to do it anymore. And when I said it to Thomas the first time, I think he just thought I was saying I don't want to be doing uni anymore, and that's it. But I don't think he realised how serious I actually was. And there was only a couple of people that I really spoke to about it when I was kind of going through it, because I knew that a lot of people in my family especially would be kind of like, you can't leave, you've come this far, and basically tell me all the stuff that I knew but that I didn't want to hear, and that it wasn't at that point going to change my mind. I just felt like I'd rather do something else and be good at it and get good grades and enjoy it than spend another year of my life doing something that I wasn't going to pass. So obviously I didn't want the 2 years that I'd already done to be wasted. I had asked to change my dissertation subject. I'd spoken to so many different people at the university about changing it, and I don't think they knew how serious I was about it, because obviously they didn't expect me to leave. I eventually got permission to leave. I started looking at different avenues before I left, obviously. I wanted to make sure that there was something that I could go straight onto that was gonna not mean that the first 2 years were gonna be wasted. So that's when I discovered the Open University. I contacted the Open Uni and they told me that I could transfer my first 2 years worth of credits, the scores and grades that I'd got, over to them to finish off the third year. This was in, so 2009 I went to uni, 2010 was second year, so this was 2011, so this was 4 years ago. I went to the Open University and I transferred my degree to psychology and criminology at the Open University. It's so hard to explain because I feel like I'm trying to explain such a massive part of my life in like 20 minutes. So basically these two modules that I've been doing at Open Uni, I've finished one of them, I've got one left. It's taken a bit longer than I expected. Things have kept being postponed and things like that for various reasons that I might get into at some point. The Open Uni is a lot different to uni. Obviously you don't have to go to lectures if you don't want to. They do have lectures at like a local university that you can go to once every few months or few weeks depending on your course, but they're not compulsory, and basically you get everything online. You get all your timetables and you can communicate with your tutor that you get. They send you the books that you need for the course, so there's not much other referencing and things that you have to do outside of the course, outside of the modules and the course materials that they give you. And I just much prefer it. I feel like I get a lot more support from the tutors at Open Uni than I ever got at Liverpool Hope. I feel like I've just completely not even followed any sort of structure with this at all, but that is my university story. I went, I didn't like it, and it really was so difficult to drop out, because that's basically what I did, and to have to tell people, oh, actually I'm not at uni. And even like just a few weeks ago when I went to my cousin's wedding, one of my uncles was like, oh, you're still at uni, I thought you'd just finished, I thought you just left and quit. But that's one thing that I knew I couldn't do. I knew that I couldn't leave if that was it, because I'd spent too much money and I'd worked up too much debt, and I'd spent too much time and effort on the assignments that I had passed and the exams that I had done to just let it all go to waste. Like 2 years of my life I could not just let go to waste because I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. I knew I needed to continue. So in a couple of weeks time my last module at Open Uni starts. I have my books already. I am doing philosophy for my final module. I'm excited about it. It's something completely different that I've ever done before, but I think it's going to be really interesting. And then when this finishes in June, I should hopefully graduate, and it's got to the point now where I'm really not bothered if I get a first, which is never going to happen, a second or a third, a 2-2, a 2-1, whichever. I just want to do it. I just want to finish and graduate and kind of finish that chapter of my life and move on and have a degree. And I don't ever think I'm going to go into psychology and criminology. If you ask me any questions about it, I couldn't tell you anything about it, because it's kind of like I take in the information for the exam that I need or the essay that I'm writing, and then that's it. I'm not interested in it whatsoever. I'm not passionate about it. It's not what I want to do. I think we can all agree that this past year I have definitely found what I am passionate about, and I have just got to know myself a lot better through doing this and my blog. I just want to find a way that I can turn this that I'm so passionate about into doing something good, because that's what all I've ever wanted to do, is just to make a difference and to do something good with whatever it is that I end up doing in life. And I always felt like there was so much pressure, like what do you want to do when you're older, what do you want to be, and I've come to realise that the older I get, actually when you're 22 it doesn't matter. Like, just do what you want to do at that moment, as long as you're happy. I spent so much of my time worrying about what I was going to be doing in the future, but actually just take each day at a time. People would say to me, one day you'll just wake up and you'll just think of something. And one day I woke up and decided I wanted to start this channel and this blog and make it into something, and I want to just keep improving it, and I want to keep learning about makeup and beauty and practicing and doing people's makeup. And for a time I felt like that wasn't enough, but then a part of me thinks, if that's what I'm happy doing and that is what I'm passionate about, then why shouldn't I do it and follow my heart, rather than spending time doing things that actually make me miserable. And life's too short, and I don't know, I've rambled on for long enough now. If any of you are at uni and you're feeling like you can't do it, try your hardest. I tried for as long as I could. If it's not for you, maybe try and find another route or an alternative. If you think you actually can get through it, then get through it, because part of me sometimes thinks it'd be so much easier if I'd just carried on, but I would have been so unhappy. If some of you are thinking about going to university, then just please put your research into it. Make sure you're 100%. Don't just go because other people tell you that you should. Make sure it's something that you want to do, and that is something that you feel like will make a difference to your life, because otherwise it's a lot of money, and there are so many other alternative routes these days to do it, to get into doing what you want to do, that university isn't the only answer. And if you are at uni and you love every minute of it, then I wish that I had been the same, because I do think that if I had been able to have the full experience, it would have been a really good experience. They're my thoughts on the matter, and that is my story. They are the last few years of my educational life, kind of bundled up into a very short amount of time. But I hope you found this quite interesting and it's helped some of you understand maybe a little bit more about me, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.